Hello everybody, my name is Sniping is Fun, and I welcome all of you back to my next The 5 list. I'll present all of you here on YouTube, and today's topic, even though it's in the thumbnail, it's the name of the video, you clicked on, it's below me right now, it's the title of the video, so I know exactly what, you all know exactly what it's going to be about. I'm going to introduce the topic anyways in the title of the video anyways, and it's going to be an anime The 5 list, and it's going to be my The 5 anime movies everyone should see. And I say this topic as in anyone, whether an anime fan or not, an avid anime fan or not, can enjoy these movies. And these are movies that, regardless if you're an anime fan or not, they're movies that you should pick up, especially if you just love watching good movies. It shouldn't matter if it's anime or Western animation, live action, cartoon, CGI, or whatever. A good movie is a good movie, and these are 5 anime movies. I think, for one reason or another, everyone should pick up and everyone should watch. And quite frankly, if it may very well make you want to go and look out for more anime movies, maybe broaden your horizon and look for all these other anime movies. Once you start with these 5, it's just a branching point in finding other movies in the anime genre you particularly might want to look into. And if you're a moviegoer that likes all these different types of movies and whatnot, it's a good starting point for you, especially if you have not tackled this genre. So that's the reason why I'm doing this video, to enlighten everyone, to try to show off these movies, because it's like there's a lot of good. There is a lot for those of you who actually have watched movies in the anime, genre of movies for a long time. I'm talking about whether it be a movie for the TV shows, for the anime series, or original anime movies. People who have watched anime movies for a long time know just how good, just how interesting and iconic and famous and lovable and beloved these movies can get. These characters, these worlds, these stories, these environments that these creators make from their movies, whether it's based off something like a manga or a TV series or it's an entire original story, it can go any which way. And I feel there's a lot of good movies out there, not just as good anime movies, but just good movies in general. And it's the reason why I want to do this list, because some of these movies I would like to see more people watch, even though some of them are super beloved, famous movies. Some of you out there may not have watched any of them. It's very much possible, especially, like I said, if you've never watched an anime movie before or watched anime in general. So here's a starting point for you to try to get into it and see if you want to be interested in it, to branch out into other movies and series and whatnot in the genre. Before I get started, though, I want to make one little thing. I want to do this thing. I've done this for various other video game and other wrestling and whatever topic lists I've done before in the 5 series. I'm going to keep it 1 per entry. I'm going to make sure 1 per company, 1 per creator, director. That way I'm not, oversaturating my The 5 list with multiple movies from the same creator. I want to broaden it up. I want to make it, diverse enough to the point where I'm talking about different creators from different movies, from different decades, different companies, and different art styles, different story, design mediums, how they write their stories and whatnot. Otherwise, quite frankly, this list would turn into it turned into Studio Ghibli Central, and most movies would be easily Studio Ghibli. And I love Studio Ghibli, but I want to show off and enlighten you all on different creators from anime movies. And if you've watched some, some people I'm going to tackle. But like I said, 1 rule, 1 per director, 1 per creator, 1 per company. That way, it can be diverse and expanded enough that I'm tackling different creators and tackling different types of subjects as well. So without further ado, I'll talk about 3 minutes now, just introducing you all to the topic. Let's get this list started on my The 5 anime movies everyone should watch. And I'm going to start off with one, quite frankly, I actually have not seen, but it's from a creator that, his movies are beloved for one reason or another. It's like his movies are super iconic, and it's sad that we lost him like 7 years ago, because just imagine where he would be nowadays with his movies and his series, and just his mindset on how he does, how he tells a story and introduces his characters and talks, has characters, be. And that is going to be Satoshi Kon's Millennium Actress. Now, you can go with Tokyo Godfathers or Perfect Blue or Paprika. Those are some of his other big movies too. But like I said, I've never actually seen, and I know it's kind of a taboo, I guess, in this industry, that you have not seen a Satoshi Kon movie, even though a lot of different anime creators, his movies are probably the most out there and probably the hardest to understand. So a lot, even anime fans there's probably a lot of them that have never even seen a bit of his work. The only thing I really have seen from him was a bit of Paranoid Agent, which is a TV series. If you've seen that, you would at least know the concept of the kind of mindset he goes through when he does his movies. It's basically, and I'm picking Millennium Actress specifically because I looked up like what's the most beloved, what's the most iconic of the Satoshi Kon movies, and a lot of sites said Millennium Actress. Like I said, I have not actually watched it. I want to. It's on my to-do list. That Tokyo Godfather, Paprika, Perfect Blue, but I picked this one specifically because it seems like it's the most iconic, standout, beloved movie from his lineup of movies. Basically, like a documentary-esque movie about like this this actress Chiyoko, who basically, it's just her life story. She's in a documentary. She's giving an interview in an older age about all the events she did since she was younger and as she was being an actress. And it starts going up like a real life kind of documentary going over the life of her career. And then it starts showing events from her life that may be real, maybe made up and fake. And what's real and what's not in this actress's life. What was real and what was not real, and like what did people perceive her as and stuff like that. And it's basically just this dark, gritty type story, this mature subject matter that Satoshi Kon is actually very, very popular for. Dark, intense, gritty stories about real life situations. You don't see this type of stuff in a lot of different other anime movies, but you see it with Satoshi Kon's work. And if you're into that kind of thing, stuff that's dark, stuff that's serious, stuff that's gritty, stuff that's down to earth, talking about real world situations, real world problems, Millennium Actress, or any of his other works, but I'm picking Millennium Actress specifically for my entry on this list, is the type of movie you should be looking into, especially if you like documentaries, learning about histories of people's lives, and just the kind of conflicts people can go through. That's my first one. Now, the next four are ones I've actually seen, so I can legit talk about them. Number 2 goes to probably one of, if not the most iconic, beloved anime movies of all time, and it's a cliche choice, but I have to put it on here anyways, because if you've never seen it, it's always worth a watch. And I didn't see it when it first came out, because quite frankly, when it first came out, I wasn't born yet, but I seen it a couple years ago when it was on Toonami, and that goes to Akira. It was released in 1988, and it's by Katsuhiro Otomo. Basically, it's about a rebuilt Neo-Tokyo in Japan after basically some war goes off, some bombs and nuclear war goes off to make World War III. The government's corrupt. There's crime everywhere. It's just this post-apocalyptic, destroyed type city. It's kind of like, Mad Max almost, except maybe not as out there or as crazy. And it's basically about Kaneda and Tetsuo and this biker gang, and about experimentation on telekinetic abilities, about what is or who is this Akira figure that this movie is named after, that the manga is named after. And this just crazy story about kids being experimented on, Tetsuo being experimented on, the conflict between the biker gang and the other gangs, and what's going on with the government, and what is Akira, who is Akira, why was he or she or it experimented on, and what is this whole situation about this, what created the war and everything, and just crazy, wacky-ish, serious, dark, gritty story. It's pretty freaking dark. Characters do die. There is rape in the movie. It is dark and serious. And even though it doesn't tell the full manga story, which is one reason why I did a list on this before I got the top 10 or so on animes I feel deserve a remake. This should get remade into multiple movies detailing the full story. It is a beloved movie in its own right, even if it doesn't do the full manga story. It's one of the best movies in general. The art style, the animation, the voice acting, the story, the environments, everything that comes together that makes animation and good comes in this movie. And if you like dark, serious, and gritty type story, post-apocalyptic, telekinetic special ability powers and stuff, and fighting and action scenes and just anime, you like that. And if you like Mad Max, you probably would like this. If you like cool bike scene chases and telekinetic stuff and just dark, serious stories, I would recommend this highly. It is a classic. Even if you've never seen it, it's still worth watching, whether you're watching in Japanese, the old English dub, or the new English dub. Watch it in some way. It may be, I would say, it's cliche, it's overrated to say that it's one of the greatest anime movies of all time, but it is that for a reason, and it deserves a watch. Number 3 goes to one of my favorite anime movies of all time. For one of my favorite new creators, I've come to realize watching his works over the last couple years. He's been around since basically the Digimon movies, that eventually turned into our English one, but like the multiple different ones. And he's done various movies so far, and that's Mamoru Hosoda. And what Mamoru Hosoda movie do I specifically pick that everyone should see? Wolf Children. See, I love, Summer Wars and The Boy and the Beast and The Girl Who Leapt Through Time as much as the next person. I love all of them, and I recommend all those too. But if I had to recommend one above all else that everyone should watch, especially if you're not an anime fan, is Wolf Children. It's about basically this single mother, Hana, who lost her husband, and they had 2 kids, Ame and Yuki. The husband, the father, was basically a wolf man. He's werewolf, wolfman, lichen type thing. And that's because they had kids. The kids are half and half, and it's basically how it's just touching. It's emotional. This story, the characters are really well written. The art style, the story, the environments, the backgrounds, and just the coloring and design of it all. One of the most well designed visually movies I think I've ever seen, anime or otherwise. And it is a touching story. And quite frankly, it did make me cry a little bit, and it was sad. And it was touching too, in a happy way too. It was both happy and sad. And it shows the life of the single mother, Hana, raising these 2 children, trying to raise them, not knowing, because they lost their dad. It's kind of a spoiler, but it's the beginning of the movie, so it's not really a spoiler. And trying to raise these 2 kids, not knowing how to raise them as wolves. Should they be raised as wolves? Should they be raised as human? Their choice. What do they want to do with their life? Do they want to be humans? Do they want to be wolves? And just this tackling this social, separation, like society, and the people they meet, the friends they make, and the issues they go through, the real world issues. And I know real world people can't really turn the wolves and whatnot, but it's like it tackles like this whole like coming of age type story of these kids growing into adults essentially and learning their place in the world and how they have to now tackle them being half wolf and half human, and how Hana has to deal with that, raising her children in a world where there's no one else she can really go to talk about this with people, and she has to raise these kids on her own. If you love stories like that, these coming of age stories, touching family emotional stories, I strongly recommend this. Number 4 goes to, just like Akira, another super iconic, beloved, classic anime movie. And that goes to Mamoru Oshii's Ghost in the Shell from 1995. Now, some of you may not even know much about Ghost in the Shell outside of maybe the new live-action movie that came out, which if you went to go see that, chances are, or have seen that, or came across that, chances are you probably watched some sort of Ghost in the Shell in your life. But this is the original, and if you haven't, I would strongly recommend checking out other Ghost in the Shell works if you were at least semi-interested in the recent live-action movie. But Ghost in the Shell came out in 1995. It's basically this philosophical movie about self-identity in the human being in like a futuristic, like technology advanced world, like how human is human, how human can robots be, people that are half robot, half human, just this like how far is technology taking us kind of thing. Like where are we going with this future technology world? How are humans and technology coexisting and interacting in this type of world? It's basically the movie that inspired The Matrix. So if you love The Matrix, this is the movie. This movie right here is what inspired it, the entire series. And it's basically a mix of CGI animation, cell animation, due to the fact that this is like the mid-90s. This is when that kind of art style direction of animation, CGI and cell kind of met. Like it's a crossing of styles, because this is like when CGI was starting to really kind of come into effect. It was during the mid-90s, during the time of like Toy Story and whatnot, but they kind of mixed cell shading and CGI. So if you like CGI animation, you like classic cell shaded animation, this is like the perfect mix of it. It's a dark, gritty story, and just intense fight scenes, dark atmosphere, real world situations of characters growing, character development, and people dealing with their problems and whatnot. And it is a beloved movie. I do think that the standalone complex series and other various movies that came after this are overall better. But the one that started it all, the one that made that all possible was the original. And this one is, this one, if you even want to remotely get into the Ghost in the Shell universe and watch the other movies and watch the TV series, I think you have to start with this. It is a good jumping off point, and it's not that long of a movie, and it's just such beautiful to look at, cool characters and story and world. Strongly recommended. And my fifth and final movie, and you've obviously noticed I have not talked about a single Studio Ghibli movie yet. I had to include them in here. I had to include at least one Studio Ghibli movie in here. And it was hard. It was really freaking hard to think about what Studio Ghibli movie would I strongly recommend above all else to be in this The 5 list, because I had to recommend a Studio Ghibli movie. They're like the Disney of anime. So if you love Disney movies, you're going to more than likely love Studio Ghibli movies. Now, I strongly recommend you watch them some way, shape, or form. They always have these like film festivals where the movies are in theaters. Now you can go watch those. You can go pick them up at your local Best Buy or other movie store. They all have them on Blu-ray and DVD. But the one I strongly picked is the original, Nausicaa, the Valley of the Wind. I love Spirited Away. I love Princess Mononoke. I love all those other movies. Whisper of the Heart, Porco Rosso, The Cat Returns, When Marnie Was There, Tale the Princess Kaguya, My Neighbor Totoro. All those movies, all of them are beloved, great movies, but none of it would have been possible if Hayao Miyazaki in 1984 didn't start with Nausicaa, the Valley of the Wind, which technically it came before the formation of Studio Ghibli, but it's made by the same creator. The company came like a year later. It's a Studio Ghibli movie, and it's such a beautiful, well-done movie based off his manga series. And it's basically a post-apocalyptic world. Nausicaa is a princess of this Valley of the Wind. Basically, these poisonous plants and jungles and forests are covering the world, and obviously humans can't live and coexist in that world with all these giant mutant insects that would kill them and everything. And about like human nature and technology and post-apocalyptic and all these issues. And Nausicaa, the main character, wanted to find a way to balance this and try to find a way for humans to coexist with this jungle forest and be able to live in it instead of like living away from it and in cities and places separate from nature. It's such a beautiful, well-done movie. If you start anywhere in Studio Ghibli, I recommend you start with the beginning and then watch the rest of it. But Nausicaa, the Valley of the Wind is my Studio Ghibli pick for this list. And that's it for my The 5 anime movies everyone should watch. Nausicaa, the Valley of the Wind, Akira, Ghost in the Shell, the original 1995 movie, Wolf Children, and Millennium Actress. Put in the comment section what you guys think. What anime movies do you think everyone should see, whether they be an anime fan or not? What's a good jumping off point for a lot of people out there that may want to look into the world of anime movies? Should they start with TV series ones? Should they start with like the most iconic ones? Where should they start? Put in the comments what you guys think. Do you guys agree with this list? And what movies do you think everyone should watch in the anime world? My name is Thank you. Peace. Please subscribe if you want to. Have a lovely day. Tatsuo!